Okay, sir. I'm starting the recording now.
Okay. So it's a 7:30 in Bangladesh time, and my name is Mohammad Mainul Islam. I'm a professor in the Department of Population Sciences of the University of Dhaka, and also the moderator of this event. Let's talk population and development. I welcome you all, those who are already have participated, and others are those who are going to be participating. So today, that is the World Population Day 2024. So on this important day, we are having the first episode of Let's Talk Population and Development. Let's Talk Population Development is a series of conversations with academicians, researchers, policymakers, and practitioners of working in population and development. This monthly 50 minutes interactive online dialogue is open to all stakeholders, including students, faculties from various disciplines, government and development workers, and journalists from print and electronic media. So it can be a platform to discuss the practice of population and development and analytical work centered on policy to improve the quality of lives by ensuring their rights and choices as recognized by the International Conference on Population and Development in 1994. Dear participants, today the world is more demographically diverse than ever, bringing new challenges and creating opportunities. Changing demographics as a driver for sustainable growth, poverty reduction, and human capital development. And we need to investigate how countries can take these opportunities and respond to their citizens' needs by making the right investment in health, family planning, youth empowerment, education, employment opportunities, all while safeguarding human rights and pursuing gender equality and empowerment of women, girls, and all. In this background, I would like to inform you that during today's 50-minute talk, we are going to have a very distinguished guest, Dr. Reiko Hayashi. After her 15-minute speech or presentations, you will have an opportunity to ask questions and comments. During the registration process, few of you asked a good number of questions. However, if you want to ask a question, please write your surname in the chat room and your question. You can also use the raise hands function and ask questions. Now, it is the time to introduce Dr. Reiko Hayashi. So Dr. Reiko Hayashi is the president of Asian Population Associations that is named an Ep1. She is also the Director General, National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, that means IPSS Japan. Dr. Reiko Hayashi obtained PhD in Policy Studies, National Graduate School for Policy Studies, that is named as the GRIPS Japan, Bachelor and Master in Health Sciences, Bachelor of Technology in Architecture from the University of Tokyo and DES of Universities de Paris 1. Prior to joining the IPSS, her career includes a technical advisor to Minister of Health, Republic of Senegal, JICA as a JICA expert, and also project assistant professor of Center for Sustainable Urban Regeneration, the University of Tokyo. And her research topic includes the population health, issues of low fertility and aging, internal and international migration, policies on population and development. She is the member of the ICF and ICD committees of Social Security Council, Statistical Working Group of Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare Japan, the expert panel of the Japanese government's roadmaps for realization of a society of harmonious coexistence with foreign nations, the Japanese delegation of United Nations Commission on Population and Development, and the chair of the International Committee of Population Association of Japan. Dr. Reiko Hayashi is also a scientific group member of Asian Population Association on changing household structure, aging, and well-being in Western and Southern Asia. Just about 2 months ago, Dr. Reiko and I attended the ICPD 30 event, Global Dialogue on Demographic Diversity and Sustainable Development, which was held May 15 to 16 in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Despite her hectic schedule, I am very grateful to Dr. Reiko Hayashi for her kind consent and presence during today's talk. Now it's the time to hear from my distinguished guest, Dr. Reiko Hayashi. Dr. Reiko will do her presentation on demographic diversity and sustainable development, where we today, 30 years since the ICPD. So Dr. Reiko Hayashi, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Mainul Islam, for introducing me and then also explaining about your event and then also what has happened 2 months ago in Dhaka. I was there also. And then also thank you very much for inviting me here to talk on the demographic diversity and sustainable development. So today the format is that I'm going to talk in 15 minutes, and then which will be followed by the dialogue with Mainul and then other participants. So I'm very much looking forward to discuss with you, because today I'm not only talking about population aging, but also for the part for low fertility, fertility issue, and gender issues, which might be not which might not be very country appropriate, but still this is the issue which people are talking about. So I just go through it. So let me just first share my screen here. So can you see it? And I just want to remove this. Yeah. Oh, just a minute. Okay. So I hope this thing will disappear in the bottom. I hope that you can see all. So as Mainul introduced me, I am Director General since this April of the National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, which is located in Tokyo, Japan, which is attached to the Minister of Health, Labor, Welfare of Japan. And then also since 2022, I have been the president of Asian Population Association until the end of this year. So I hope that many of you can join to the conference of APA, which will be happening in Kathmandu this November. So this is the world population. Just a minute. I just want to. Let's do it. Okay, this is the world population from 1950 to 2100, which was estimated and projected by United Nations Department of Population. Just a minute. United Nations DESA Population Division, and then this is the version of revision of 2022. So according to when they have released this projection back in 2022, 2 years ago, that is the first time that they said that world population is going to hit the summit. It's not going to explode at least until 2100. This is the first time they have said that the world population is going to peak with 10.4 billion in 2086. And yeah, here. And then this is the size of the world population is like this. And when we disaggregate by broad group of age, then the children, it's not increasing. Now we are around here. So the children is not increasing anymore, global level. And working age population, the definition can vary from country to country, but here it is 15 to 64 years old. So the working age population is going to go up, and then it will be stable and it's going to decline. And the older persons, 65 plus, or maybe you define older persons as 60 plus, but here it is written 65 plus. It will be keep on growing like this. And this red line is the annual population change rate. And since this projection, 2022 version, the Population Division of United Nations, they started to make it annually. So we can have this very precise annual population change rate, which used to be very high at around 2% per year. It was, world population was increasing. Then after that, around 1970s, it started to go down. And now we are around here. So what is this sharp decline here in 1961? It is because of China, because during the time they have a big Great Leap Forward politics, and there is a disturbance of food distribution within the country, and many people died because of that. And then also fertility became very low. So that was reflected to the world population annual change rate here. But then right after that, it was soon recovered. Then after that, it kept on declining. And here there is this, the population just declined, annual population change rate declined a lot. And then it's go up and going down. This is what? This is because of COVID. And then this is the estimates and projection which was made 2 years ago. So I think for me, this drop is too much. Because most of the countries in Asia, for example, in 2020, in Japan, the number of deaths declined. There are a smaller number of people who died in 2020, the first year of COVID. And then our population is getting older and older. So every year, normally, the number of deaths is increasing. However, 2020, it was on the contrary. The same trend with all the Asian countries with registered based data, like Taiwan and Philippines and Brunei and Malaysia. So maybe the population decline was not as big like this, but then after that, still in Japan, we have not really get out of COVID effect. There are a bit more death compared to before COVID time. So this kind of change can be re-estimated in the future. And then, but anyway, this trend is something which is happening. So it is ongoing. And then after that, it's going down. And then in 2086, the world population will peak. So that means that annual population change will go negative from here. So that's the same, oh, why it's not moving? The same thing, but by different regions. And while population is increasing, but most population increase will happen in sub-Saharan Africa. And you are based in Bangladesh, in Central and Southern Asia. The population, the width of this yellow band is going to be becoming smaller and smaller after 2050. So this is the world population pyramid, which in the textbook, it is written that, population pyramid, when the population is increasing rapidly, then the shape is pyramid. And then when there are less and less, the fertility go down and the people are living longer, then the pyramid shape will become like a bell shape. So as a world level, the population pyramid, it looks like pyramid shape. And then in 2021, it looks like bell shape. And, but here to show how big the population increased within this 71 years, I just use the same horizontal axis. And then we can see how much we grew in number, and then we are still supporting ourselves. So in 1970s, everybody get feared that if the population will grow, we cannot be supported by the earth itself, but still we are surviving. But then I have already talked about this population pyramid, but then I made another one. So world population pyramid in 2050 and world population pyramid 2100. So 2050 looks like a kind of same 2021, but then it is just grow a bit more. But what is striking is this, the population pyramid of 2,100, it is really going up. It is really the bell shape. And here, the young people size is even smaller compared to 2050 or 2021. So global level, the children are getting smaller and smaller. And here, there is a big increase of middle-aged people and older people. So we have to think about, when we think about demographic diversity, we have to think about this world figure, which will be happening in 80 years, 80. So I used all my data, my figure was made using world population prospects 2022, which is now available on the website here. And in 2 hours, actually it is New York time 12:30, noon 30, they are going to launch the 2024 revision. So in Japan, I'm going to have the Japanese launch, and then for that occasion, I'm going to use the 2024 data, but the population division people told me that I should not disclose the 2024 version because it is 2 hours before the official launch in New York. So please visit here, and then there are kind of, well, it's small, but there are changes which are happening. So please check this web. In 2 hours, you're going to see it. So today, Mainul's theme, which was set, was ICPD, International Conference on Population and Development, which was carried out in Cairo back in 1994. And at the time, program of action was adopted by all the countries who attended it. And some people consider it as a Bible or maybe Quran. Nobody said that it is the Quran, but it is the basic book for the population and development. So, of course, I think that you have already read it. It is readily available online, and then ICPD POA. It is available everywhere. But here it is a kind of schema. Under the population, sustained economic growth, and sustainable development, there are altogether 9 chapters on gender equality, the family and population growth and structure, reproductive rights and reproductive health, health, mobility and mortality, population distribution, urbanization and internal migration, population development and education, technology, research and development. And to enhance these 9 domains, you need national action, international cooperation, and partnership with the non-governmental sector. And every 5 years since 1994, there are follow-ups to the conference. So when we talk about population, then population is composed of 3 components: birth, death, migration. So this fertility issue is here, mortality issue is here, and migration issue is here and here, and then also with other issues. So this is the structure of ICPD. Then 2 months ago, yes, it's almost 2 months ago, in 15 to 16 May, in Dhaka, UNFPA organized ICPD 30, which, well, since 1994, this year, it is the 30 years since 1994, and it is called Global Dialogues and Demographic Diversity and Sustainable Development. So the same title as today, and I didn't write it here, but many countries, people get together and we discussed. And then what is this global dialogues? Actually, UNFPA planned and organized already the 3 global dialogues. The first one, a new generation vision for the ICPD. This is especially for the youth, and which was happened in Benin, in Africa, It was back in April. And then in May, it was in Bangladesh. It was co-organized by Bangladesh government and Japan and Bulgaria. And then the theme was demographic diversity and sustainable development. And then I think it has been already carried out in New York, technological change and the ICPD agenda. Then in July, this month, there will be high-level political forum in New York, UN headquarters. And in September, there will be a UN summit for the future, which will be taking place in the headquarters UN. So these three dialogues result will be fed into this high-level political forum and September UN summit for the future. So this is a kind of ongoing process. And here, well, this is the photo, which was what was happening during the global dialogue. There is the people who speak, and then also on the table, we really have dialogue between the participants. So that is about the global dialogue, but what is the new diversity, demographic diversity? Before, it was the population explosion, and then how to lower the fertility was a global challenge. And now some countries are having very low fertility, and the very low fertility is again becoming the population problem, which is the case for Japan and Korea and Taiwan and also Thailand, and also in Bangladesh, India, Nepal, your fertility rate go down so quickly, so now you are at the replacement level. So I think it is a good thing, but Japan, it is too low. Around 2.07 is the replacement level for Japan. And then the total fertility rate it used to be 5.1 in 1925, but it went down sharply, and there is this drop for the fire hose year. And then after that, it kept on declining. And then now since 2015, it is going down again. So along with this change, there are the policies to have the good environment for young couple to get married, to have the desired number of children, but still it is going down. And then now, because we used to spend a lot of money for older people because aging was a major issue during the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. But when we realized this is the social expenditure of Japan, it is the proportion-wise. And when we see it, the social expenditure, that is the payment which was made from the public insurance for health and then long-term care and pension and so on and so forth. Most part of this social expenditure is paid for the old age, that means pension, and health, that is for the health insurance. And for family, for example, child allowance and the subsidy for the kindergarten and nursing center and so on and so forth, it is very small in proportion. So now there is a kind of battle. Well, it's not really a battle, but there is a discussion on how to balance the payment, not only for the older people, but also for the young people, it is needed. And some people said that there is the diaper subsidy for older persons, but there is no subsidy for babies. So it is not equal. So, but this kind of discussion is now going on in Japan, and I would like to hear what is the situation in Bangladesh. Then, going to the ICPD, and then since for the 30 years, some people say that there is no progress of ICPD plan of action because there are several controversial issues which have been controversial for the past 30 years, and there is back and forth and back and forth. So one issue is abortion issue. So in Japan, there are many countries who does not tolerate abortion. And then now I found that Bangladesh is a #1 country which does not allow abortion only to preserve a woman's physical health. So this is slide which I made long time ago using the world abortion policies in 2013, but I wonder what is the situation right now. So this thing has been now in the United States, some states have decided not to allow abortion and so on and so forth. So it is a kind of controversial issues still going on. The second issue, here, ICPD problem action, reproductive rights and reproductive health. That was the term used during the 1994 Cairo conference. And now people are saying that that term should be changed to sexual and reproductive health and rights. And then this is also the controversial issue because here, sexual and reproductive health and rights means that there is the sexual health and sexual rights, reproductive health and reproductive rights, and sexual rights means diversity in sexual orientations, LGBT issues, and so on and so forth. So this is, well, but also, yeah, so here it is about that. I'm going to repeat again for this issue. And then the third controversial issue is comprehensive sexuality education, CSE. And some countries, conservative countries, do not accept this way of education because sexuality education should be done by family and it should not be done by peers and so on and so forth. As the time is limiting, I already talked 15 minutes, maybe I should go quickly. So the fourth issue is what I have mentioned two slides before. It is the diversity in sexual orientation, LGBT. And to say it frankly, in Japan, we have not allowed any same-sex marriage yet. But since 2015, there is a big change at the municipality and prefecture level, not the national level, so that there are so many municipalities and prefectures which are introducing now the same-sex partnership scheme. So we are now, we are now having a big discussion in the country about this. Then the fourth issue here, now it is the value of family, how to consider the value of family. When we talk about value of family, it is family vs individual. So very Western countries, they say that individual decision is the first thing. But then in Asia, including Japan, family value is also important. And there are so many issues. Here, I just list some of them. For example, in Japan, when we get married, we have to unify, either husband or wife have to change the surname and so on and so forth. And marriage and civil partnership and work-life balance, if the woman get married and have to work, then who is going to do the household chore and then taking care of the children, and then how to balance with the life, with work. And then for the long-term care for older parents, who should be taking care of the older parents? Is it the daughter-in-law or son-in-law or daughter, the real daughter or real son? This is really, or whether it should be done by society or social scheme like long-term care insurance, and also pension and survivor's pension. If the husband die, what's going to happen with the widow, and then how she can get the money of her economic protection, who is going to take care of the economic protection if there is no survivor's pension, and then also inheritance issue, which also affect how people get married and so on and so forth. So there are many issues, and then this will all affect to the new demographic diversity which is coming in Asia and everywhere. So maybe I can just briefly talk about health and mortality, but health and mortality, there is no controversial issues. Everybody wants to live longer. It's better to have better health. And then also when we see the world level life expectancy, it is increasing since 1990s up to now. And then this is within the range of target, which was set by the ICPD. And along with increasing in number and proportion of older people. This is the case of Japan, but we have modified policies to cover older persons for health insurance, long-term care insurance, and then also special scheme medical insurance for 75 plus and so on and so forth. So along with the different demographic situation, country have to make different policies to accommodate with increasing needs of healthcare and long-term care. So it's very simple. And then also, of course, COVID-19 impacted our health. So this is about the mortality in terms of life expectancy and fertility in terms of total fertility rate on the right. And we hope that we'll get back to the normal, but in Japan still we are not really recovered. And still the mortality level is a bit higher compared to the level of 2019. And total fertility, the fertility is going down. We don't know when it's going to stop. So this is the end of my talk. Sorry, I spoke 10 minutes more than I was allocated, but I hope to have an interesting discussion with you. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you. And I would say that, Reiko, this is a very excellent presentation. So even you take a little more time, but I think it's okay for us. So I think, definitely your presentation is extremely well defined, and what's the argument you have already mentioned based on the evidences, that's fine. But now we'll have question and answer sessions, and we have another 19 to 20 minutes we have. So at this moment, I think I would request my dear participants, those who are attending at this moment in this dialogue. That means if you want to ask any questions, please write your surname, as I mentioned to you in the chat room, and ask your questions, or you can also raise your hands, just go through the function and ask the questions. So let's first see whether any participants from here, they are asking or not. If not, then I will go my way. So let's check in. So is there anyone? Please, if you have any questions, please. Oh, yeah, I can see. Mr. MD Anwar Hussain, I think he is from Max Planck Institute of Demographic Research in Germany. So, Mr. MD Anwar Hussain, please go ahead. Anwar.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, Reiko, for your excellent presentation. So I had 3 questions in my mind, but I got the answer of 2 from your presentation. So I'm pretty curious to know from Reiko, if you kindly elaborate on some specific examples how ensuring the rights and choices of diverse population can contribute to sustainable development goals. Because we know we are now connecting demographic diversity to the sustainable development goal. So I'm quite curious to know how ensuring the rights and choices of diverse population can actually contribute to sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Just diverse population. How do you mean exactly? Which diversity which you are mentioning about?
I mean, if we look at the one particular diversity in the world, that some countries are experiencing low fertility. On the other hand, some countries are experiencing high fertility. So as you mentioned, in 1990s, we had only one problem, that is we need to control population. But now the population issues are more diversified than ever. So what could be the solution, and how can we connect with a sustainable development goal?
Understood.
So we will take more questions and then you will answer, or you will just address this question, then we'll go. Yeah.
Yeah, we can one by one, because I might forget, and then we might lose the focus.
Sure. So Anwar, yeah, please. Anwar is let me introduce a little bit. Anwar is also my former student from Dhaka University, and currently he's doing his PhD at Max Planck Institute of Demographic Research. So please go ahead, Reiko.
Next plan.
Max Planck Institute of Demographic Research in Germany.
Oh, Max
Currently
Planck
he is in Germany.
Germany. MPID. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I ask you, well, what kind of diversity? Because there are many diversity, like high fertility, low fertility, and also high mortality, low mortality. For example, I used to stay in Senegal, and then still the issue is there are a lot of, for example, malaria and tuberculosis and so on and so forth. And then also there is the diversity in population policies, and then also diversity in the gender thing. But now you are interested with diversity in fertility. So how the diversity will lead to the sustainable development. So maybe how to answer, there are the high fertility country and low fertility country. So each situation, the approach of policies or the social approach will be different. So, but if there should be a proper approach taken, then for the high fertility country will lowering fertility, and low fertility country will move up the fertility. Or maybe for how to define the sustainable development. For example, if it is low fertility, then some people want to raise the fertility, but then it is difficult to raise the fertility because there are the root cause. For example, education is too expensive, and it is costing to raise children. And then the simplest way is that the dictator will order the country people, you should get married and have 2 or 3 children. And then you order them, and then if they don't have it, you execute them, then everybody will have babies, 2, 3 babies, but it is not the right way to do. And then in the long run, it's not going to be sustainable. If you allow me about this sustainability issue in the past, is that I talked about this Japanese population. Let me just share it again. And here, as I do not have time, I didn't talk too much, but here, that fertility just went below replacement level 2. And then since around 1973, it kept on declining. But for this period, we did not do anything. Why? Because raising fertility policy was a taboo for Japan. Why it was the taboo? Because during this time, during the war, Second World War, we had this population policy to raise fertility. We order women should not work, they should get married, and each family should have 5 children. That was the official Japanese population policy. And after the war, people remembered it. And the people remembered that population policy to raise fertility is something like that kind of coercive policy. So that became the taboo. We cannot do the right policies during the 1970s and 80s. So to have the right policy for seeing the different phase of population demographic status, it is very important for the long run.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
it.
Okay, yeah, so Reiko, I think you addressed that one. So now we will go for the another questions. I think I can see Aris Ananto. I think Aris Ananto is a professor and also editor-in-chief, International Journal for Population Issues, and professor of University of Indonesia. So I think Professor Ananto, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mainul. Thank you very much, Reiko, for sharing your idea. My question is for Japan. You said it is too low. And one question is, do you think the Japanese women are interested to increase their fertility? Question number 2, because fertility is too low, the problem is that for productivity in Japan, what do you think about the role of technology, robotic technology, AI, and so on? Do you think technology can overcome the declining population in Japan? Thank you, Reiko.
Thank you. So, is Japan going to have higher fertility? And we are now having a lot of policies. We have created new agency for family and children, and recently we have passed a law for bringing some fund from health insurance to pay for the young couple and child allowance and so on and so forth. And then maybe it is important to do this kind of promoting young couple policies, but also it is important that the society the society itself will support the young couples so that they can have children. So, but what is more important is that still we are having this traditional traditional system, which is based on old values, such as what I have said. When you get married, normally its wife have to change her family name to become the husband family name. And then, for example, this kind of system just make women think she doesn't want to get married. And they don't get married, they don't have children. Or still, we have a kind of stigma for children born, illegitimate children born from the parents who are not married. And this kind of system might have to be changed. But so far, the discussion was very low. But the society system itself have to be updated according to the behavior of young people, not the older people of 70 years old and 80 years old. Then I think that when the society will be accommodating more, is approaching more to the behavior of young people, then people will feel at ease to have a new family. And then eventually it might raise the fertility rate. But it will take a long time. And this comes to the answer to your second question, is that technology is going to help? Yes, it might help. Sorry, I didn't include this time for the, for example, assisted reproductive technology issue. Maybe I can show it to you because I put it here. I hope you can see it. And here, for example, many young people go to university, and after that they start working, and then they get married at the age of 30. And then after that, they start to have babies. So at the time, their fecundity becomes lower. So even though they want to have babies, they cannot have babies. So there are many people who are using assisted reproductive technology. And right now, the proportion of how much is it? 8.6% of total births are born in Japan using assisted reproductive technology. So this will help a lot. This will give the babies for the couple who wants to have babies. So it is important. And then also, of course, the robot to clean the house, to do the household things. It is already, well, in my house, it is the robot which cleans and it works very well. This will reduce the task which you have to do. And then also robot in the working place, in the factory, for example, Toyota factory, they are using robot. So that will reduce the simple labor, the need for the simple labor. So in that way, there is much less need for workforce. But anyway, there are much more need for the service sector. And then actually, what is happening in Japan is that the working age population is declining because it is just defined by age. But there are more women working, more older people working, and more foreign nationals working. So actual number of people working is increasing in Japan up to now. So technology is very important. important. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, Reiko, thank you. And then few questions I can already see on chat room. I think you can also have a look through, but let's give them floor to the chat room participants, and then we can come. So there are three other hands I can see that they will also get the opportunity. So let's coming to the Sharna Shamanta Mallik, and another one, I think I cannot identify her name, 10921. So can you identify yourself? I think, or I can read her question. So let's say one identity like 10921. She was mentioning that, hi, ma'am, I am a student of the Department of Population Sciences. You mentioned in your third issue is a family value, but facing with the industrialization, the family size is becoming small day by day. For instance, it is very difficult to balance the family value and degrading family bonding. How do you find the impact of this diversion on lower fertility? So this is the one question to you. And I think what you can do, Reiko, there are also other questions. So I think on the chat room, another one questions coming out from Sharna Shamanta Mallik. She was saying that from the BRAC, this is she was working in BRAC, yes, ECD research. So she was saying that, greetings everyone, I'm Sharna Shamanta Mallik. I'm staff researcher, ECD and research team BRAC IED. It was an amazing, insightful session. My question is, what are the main challenges for different Asian regions to address the demographic diversities you have mentioned explicitly in your own national policies? What do you think? And along with, how do these SDGs are going to adopt these issues while few years are left only to reach 2023? I think it is not 2023, it will be 2030. So another one, I think, got question from the Prapti Rai. She was saying that, sir, I am a Prapti Rai. Sorry for the mistake, not mentioning my name. Oh, I see. So the first questions come out from the Prapti Rai.
10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And second one is Sharna Shamanta Mallik. So you can address do two, and then I think I can also raise several hands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whether we will, after addressing these two questions, or then we can go to them. What do you think?
Okay. So thank you very much. 10921, who is Prati Roy on the family. Yes. So it's a big thing, and family. How can I say? The family is becoming smaller, and then there are less and less family bond. However, on the other hand, before there were large family, and also there are a lot of obligations. And then not many people are very happy about these family obligations. So I think for now in Japan, the family bond becomes so less because all the older generations, or maybe my generation as well, we used to have too much pressure for family to be very familiar, to get used to with the family. So now we are trying to be away from it. But human being a social animal, and then you have to always live with family, and then with couple or your close person. And so we do not have to, there is a certain need for the large family. There used to be a need for large family to live in one house, or to do the agriculture together. But if the production system change in the modern society, then maybe this large family size will change to smaller size of family, and then so that to fulfill the wish of each person. So maybe you have mentioned that how we can do it is just going on. Your question was how to degrading family bonding. So degrading family bonding, but family bonding itself, what is family bonding? Is it better when it is large, or is it better when it is small? This is something which we have to think about again. Maybe we have to reframe what is family and so on and so forth. But another aspect is what I have shown in here, the total fertility rate is declining. Oh, it's not written here. It's declining even in high fertility country like France or Finland since 2015. Everywhere is having lower fertility. It's even before the COVID. Why? Maybe it is because of mobile phone, SNS. And the 2015 is the year when the Facebook account number will become the largest. The increased speaking was the largest in 2015. And then since then, it was people using Facebook and SNS. And then some people, I think that they are happy with communicating with people using only SNS, using only watching at this mobile phone. So that is also affecting human relationship, and then eventually for the family issues. So again, I should say family bonding using mobile phone is one issue. And then this is something which we have to think. And then also family bonding, and if it is better or not better, this is also up to what people, up to each person. So how to do with low, and then of course this is one of the reasons for lower infertility. So that is the reason why it is difficult to reverse the trend of fertility, but we have to keep on talking about it. Yes. And then for the second question, again, this is the question on the diversities. And I think that diversity in terms of fertility and so for the low fertility issue, there are many issues which is difficult to solve. So far, I think there is not a very effective policy to raise the fertility quickly. However, we have to, well, yeah. But how it relates to the social development SDGs? That is a good question, because somehow, because of COVID, we have this disruption for the SDGs. And then within SDGs, there is no targets for low fertility issues. So maybe now we have to think about what to put as the global goal post-SDG era from 2030. And then maybe with this dialogue, maybe if you can talk about this post-SDG target, that will be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Reiko, I think it's almost 8:22. We few more questions we have. So I think, we can extend little more time. So let's, I think the persons, those who raise the questions, you can directly ask the question just, and after asking all the questions, Reiko can choose which one she wants to respond, because we have time limitations also, because we thought that we'll finish it by 8:20, but let's say we can extend few more time. Reiko, is it okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so I think, the persons, those who raised the questions, I think already, Shahadat, you already asked the question. I think, can you ask your question directly, or I will read the questions just briefly ask the questions.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার, আমি নিজে করতে পারবো স্যার, আমি করতেছি স্যার।
Sure, okay, very briefly. Yeah.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, আমি I am
Alaikum
Shahadat,
assalam.
student
It's better
Department
to
of
speak in
Population Sciences.
English.
Due to different transitions, the family structure is changing from extended to nuclear family. But at present time, the aging population is increasing and need more social support for them. So is there any possibility that we will face a transition from nuclear to extended family, or exist any example in globally?
Oh,
Okay.
the policy
Yeah.
to promote extended family from nuclear family? Is that the question?
My question
Yes.
is there any possibility we will experience a transition from extended nuclear to extended family? I mean that we will face a cycle, which means extended to nuclear and then nuclear to extended.
Okay.
Hmm. Maybe I receive all the questions, then
Right,
with the
right.
remaining
Then-
time I
then-
will answer.
Okay,
Yeah, there might be some.
Then Asadul Alam Pradhan from Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics, I think he is planning to ask the question. Asad, please. Be brief. We cannot hear you, Asad. We cannot hear you. Yeah. So I think you can, we cannot hear your question. So it's better to ask the question on chat room. That will be fine. Let's going to the MD Idris Ali. Mr. MD Idris Ali.
MD Idris Ali. Oh,
Yes, sir. Thank you for the floor. My question, we have already passed 30 years since the ICPD, but there are many issues and problems were in the 1994, but the availability of data is the leading problem for developing countries. My question is, how can we move forward after the 30 years with developed countries and altogether developed and developing countries after the
Okay.
30 years?
Okay, so your question is on data after. So let's coming to the
Yes.
Shamima Tahira. Shamima Tahira, please ask the question.
This is Asad. I am finally back. Hopefully you can listen me correctly.
yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Actually, there was a technical problem in my laptop. That's why I have connected with another device to share my thought.
Please
So I
ask
would
the
like to.
question briefly.
Sure, sure. Actually, so I'm working with national accounts of Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics as a national statistical agency. So actually, what I thought to sustainable development, actually, it's quite relevant always with the economy. So yeah, so obviously Japan is an example that we should follow, and especially you are spending the around 14% in the education sector and health sector around 5%. So we recently have conducted population housing census, digital census. So from the census there is a population pyramid. So there is a huge proportion that they are working age population actually. So from your experience from Japan, so what would you suggest something that you can follow to make development with this working age population actually to go to the path of sustainable development? Thank you.
Right. Asad, thank you. I think, Reiko, there is another interesting question from Saima Chaudhary. Saima, can you ask the question?
Sir,
Saima,
I have
already.
written it in the chat box.
Oh,
Should I read
okay.
it?
So, no, so yeah. So, you
Samina
can
is
read the
raising
question.
hand. Yeah.
Saima was.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful presentation. My question is, SRHR and CSR related controversies are prevalent in Bangladesh, being a developing country, and measures to overcome these challenges are still inadequate, and it have implications for promoting gender equality, equity, and social inclusion. So my question is that what can Bangladesh learn from Japan in mitigating these challenges? Because I know that Japan once had these challenges long before, but had this. Thank you.
No, we are still having challenges on that issue.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, absolutely. So, Reiko, there are two more hands, I think, and then just to hear them, and then we can go back to answer. So,
Yes.
what's about Mohammad Uddin? Mohammad Uddin,
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Uh, this is Mohammad Shafiuddin, working under the Department of Family Planning. It's a great pleasure to be here, and after a long days hearing from a Japanese, I was in Japan for 2 years, 2021 to 2023. But now I want to ask that Bangladesh is now third phase of demographic transition, as far I know. But and we have achieved like great progress in fertility rate, in reducing fertility rate. That is 2.1 or 2, something like that. But still we have some issues, that is teenage pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy, and fertility gap among different socioeconomic status, like a lower socioeconomic status having 2.8 or 7 fertility rate, whereas in higher socioeconomic status group, they are having 1.6 or 1.5, something like that.
Mr. Uddin, please ask the
Yes.
question briefly because we have time limitations. Please.
Yes. I want to know that in this situation, to achieve the sustainable goal within the 2030 and Vision 2041, how should we address these issues in our population policy or in the family planning activities? What should I do? What should we do now? Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Uddin is okay. And finally, I think Reiko, you have found a very pertinent question to Bangladesh
No,
too.
but
Anyway,
final hand is for Shamina Tahera.
yeah,
Right?
Shamina,
Shamina, you have been
Shamina?
waiting so long.
right.
Are you
Please,
still
please,
there?
Shamima.
Yes,
Shamina.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the floor, actually. Well, my question is to you that you told about technology helping you guys people for household chores. But my question is regarding aging people. They need mental support. They can get help from technology like household chores, but what about their mental support? How do you address these issue? And my second question is about diversity. You told about same-sex partnership scheme. Did you face any cultural stigma or social stigma regarding this? And if so, then how you address? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Okay.
you. So
So,
I will be
yeah.
quickly
So
responding.
Reiko,
Yes.
Reiko, just
No
a moment.
time.
So what I'm saying, you have found a lot of questions. You don't need to address all of them, but you can choose and pick any of anything else,
Yes.
So
How
I didn't,
many minutes?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So I think we can finish it by 8:40, not more than. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I will
and
be
also
talking.
right.
But then, as there are many interesting issues, but about
Sure.
social stigma for LGBT in Japan, yes, of course, we have many discussions, and then especially those people, still we have the people who think that the couple should be man and woman, but also in the same time, we have a kind of culture of having woman, the gay person. And so traditionally we have this kind of culture, so which is a bit different from Western Christian-based countries. So that is the situation. And also about older person, yes, to give the medical care for older person, this is something we are offering a lot. So now people are complaining that we are offering, government is paying too much money for older people's healthcare costs. For example, older people, they have time, so they go to many different clinics, and then they receive a lot of drugs which they don't take, which they don't use, and so on and so forth. So that is the situation which we are having. So bringing the resources which is attributed for older person to the younger person for all the other sector is one of the big issues right now in Japan. And for about Mohammad Uddin, how to put the family planning in a country where the total fertility rate attained to the replacement level. This is a big thing. For example, in Sri Lanka, I heard that the government, as the Sri Lankan government total fertility rate is 1.8 or something, or even below, the government thinks that there is no need for putting the subsidy for the contraceptives. And then maybe your government might be thinking about this thing. So in that case, maybe you have to change the strategy. Maybe there will be no more governmental subsidy for contraceptions. However, just to make another way of providing all kinds of possibilities to realize the wish of couple, not only contraceptions, but also, for example, assisted reproductive technology, or just to have more complementary medicines to have more babies when they wish, and so on and so forth. So right now, I would say that you are now at the stage of thinking a bit different way than before. Then about SLHL Japanese lesson for Sayama, and then as Mainul mentioned, Japan is a very backward country for gender equality. For example, Japanese gender gap index, which was set by World Economic Forum, we are something like 180th or something. I think maybe Bangladesh is higher because you have woman president or woman prime minister. So, but then how we should do, and then every time now I have talked already twice about this Japanese system that when you get married, the woman have to change the name and so on and so forth. So when you have some problem, then you should talk about it and then discuss with people, and if possible, change the system. If possible, change the law. And then also, if possible, change the civil law. I think that in Bangladesh, you don't have any civil law, do you? And then civil law, civil code, which defines how people get married, or how people can protect their rights of inheritance.
In Bangladesh, we have, it is governed by the family laws based on it's an improvised version of Sharia law. So it's
so you have family law.
Civil law. It's not governed by the civil law in Bangladesh. That is one of the major challenges, because
is it challenge?
Bangladesh has put restrictions on 2 articles of CEDAW.
CEDAW?
Yeah.
What is CEDAW?
Concerning the Convention on the Convention on Discrimination, eliminating discrimination against violence
Women and
against
children.
yeah, women and children. Yeah.
Domestic violence.
No, it's a UN convention on eliminating the all forms of discrimination against women and children. That's the CEDAW. So it has many articles. So 2 of those are Bangladesh has not ratified those 2 articles. One of those is regarding the changing the law, the legislations, which
changing the family law.
Yeah, into
so family law is,
and it's different for every religion. That's the and
so you mean that there is one single family law?
Controversial issue.
One single Bangla family law, or there are different family laws by different religions?
There are different family laws.
Yeah, so that is one issue which, I'm sorry that there is no more time, but this is one issue which I'm now very interested in, because recently I found out that the Nepal made the civil code in 2018. That was the first national level civil code, the first one in South Asia. I was very surprised to hear that. And then this kind of family law or civil code, whatever it is, but a kind of unified law or unified rules or unified agreements between people, which might be very important. And then I'm not saying that the woman should be always above the man or the woman's right. There are woman's right and also man's right, but to have a kind of common, everybody agreed framework is the first step. And then we have it. We have the first civil code based on the French law back in the 19th century. And then we have the backdraw that we have too rigid system and it is difficult to change it. And then now I'm saying that we have to modify the system, changing the law according to the modern way of life and so on and so forth. But this is one thing I want to say. And then also for NTA, for Alam, Prodan, NTA and demographic, I forgot about the question itself, but for the data availability, after 30 years, yes, there is the progress. And then I was very impressed with Bangla sample vital statistics because it is very rare among emerging countries to be able to have this kind of report, annual report, even though it is sample, but still it is vital statistics. It is based on registration. And I hope that this sample will be enlarged and then eventually it will be covering all the country. But I would say that it is moving forward. And from nuclear to extended family or from the extended family to nuclear family, I'm impressed today. There are many comments and questions on family issue. And then this is something that we have to, and then also this family law and things like that. This is a big issue which we should talk more together with the population and development context for these family issues. So now it is 40. It is time. Yes.
Yeah, I think still there is a one hand, MD, Mr. MD
No, it
Rahul
is
Kumar
old-
Sanjwal.
Old
Yeah.
hand, right? He
Old-
already.
Yeah. Rahul, do you have any question? I can see, raise your hand.
No, that is family planning guy.
No,
Teenage
another one in the
baby.
right side. Okay.
Oh, is
So
it?
if there is no course now, it's okay. I think he already, there was a course sign there. So I think, Reiko, you say why we are having here, that's one of the reasons to interact with the young scholar from different professionals to interact with the scholars like you. So I didn't ask any question to you during this time, but I planned some questions earlier to ask question because if I don't find more questions from the audiences, definitely I should ask the questions to you. But definitely we will get more time in future to ask some questions. But one of the question might be at the end, before ending, I think that if you can say just within 30 seconds or something like that, what do you think about the future of population policies for the post-2030 agenda or sustainable development, if you can say very briefly, because you know that this coming September, we are going to have the next Future of Summit. So I think you will all be also the member of the Japanese delegations. So how you are thinking post-2030 agenda?
That's a good question, but right now we have so many issues. When we say population crisis, already low fertility is no more the population crisis, but the crisis is for war, and it's Ukraine and Palestine and all these things, which is aggravating, and how to balance these issues. It's human security and country security issue. It should be the first thing we have to solve. And then if United Nations system is not capable of containing this kind of problem, then I think the priority of SDGs, post SDG, will be much lower. It is kind of this is the situation that we're having. Another important issue is this climate change. I wonder if it is human driven one. I'm rather skeptical about human emission of CO2 is causing this rapid climate change. One of the reasons is that during the COVID, we did not emit so much CO2, but still there was no effect of us stopping the activities. But anyway, things are happening, and then we have to do something together.
Right.
And
Right.
so having with all these very, well, how can I say, critical issues in front of us, I think that there is no time to cling to the traditional value, or how can I say, maybe we should be more data-driven, evidence-based way of thinking. And then
Yeah, Reiko.
yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let's say the concluding statements from me, and you know, dear participants, that we are almost close end of the talk today. And initially we planned for 50 minutes, but later we extended. But in future we have to think that how we'll proceed further. But you know that we are celebrating 30 years anniversary of ICPD. The core values of ICPD program of actions, as also mentioned by Reiko, remain an inspiration for the common global approaches to sustainable development today and in the future. So we look for the practical responses for demographic change and reinforce the human rights approaches to population policies that promote, as mentioned, that gender equality, advance reproductive rights, and promote sustainable development goals in a rapidly evolving world. So, and also Reiko mentioned that tonight, actually, you know, we'll get to know the World Population Prospect 2024 data set. So that the report launch will be happening. So you know that we are already in 2014, we are having 8.2 billion population, but in 2080, it will be 10.3 billion. And then it will also return to 10.2 billion by the end of this century. So, and we look through the report because that report highlights regional differences and examples from different countries of population growth and those who are facing population decline, including Japan, as Reiko mentioned. So these insights actually provide critical guidance for policymakers as they seek to promote sustainable development and optimize resource allocation and ensure access to essential social services for all. And you know that 8.2 billion population is a big number, big challenge, and also big opportunities. So with this, I think I'd like to say that thank you very much for joining this talk. And we will have second episode of this dialogue in August, and you will get notification earlier. I hope all of you will join the upcoming events as well. And this recorded video will also be uploaded on Facebook page and the YouTube channel later, and you can watch and share it to your networks then. So thank you again, and please stay fine. And I would say that goodbye for now. So thank you very much.
Thank you very